Joining us right now for the latest is Congressman Khanna of California, whose district is in the heart of Silicon Valley. Thank you for coming in.
All right, turn into the on-camera Khanna now, because we just had a long conversation off camera. We agreed on what we probably should do, which is the way we always do it.
Well, what we should do, first of all, we may not agree on this point, but why can't we get an exception to the filibuster to keep government open?
I told you why.
Why?
Because if you do it now with Republicans and the Democrats have the chance next time they're able to do it, they'll do it for the worst thing in the world. I would never set that precedent.
I'm saying just to keep government open. I mean,
why can't you just vote for? Why can't you get a couple of normal senators just to vote for it?
Well, why don't we get to the point where nobody can shut down the government? Because I think shutting down the government has been a pretty terrible situation.
I agree with
no matter
that.
Who's used it over?
And Johnson had a proposal of automatic funding, which I think it makes sense. But you know, you're going to have the speaker on later. We came into Congress together. Just tell them to open up Congress. At least we can vote on paying the troops. At least we can vote to keep paying essential employees, people on aircraft.
You would show up and vote for those things?
I would. I'd vote in a bipartisan way for both paying the troops, paying essential federal workers.
You're only one guy. You think?
No, I think you'd get bipartisan support for paying folks. And
you'd look like a jerk. Anybody who didn't vote for that would look like an absolute jerk.
And look, the speaker's a person of faith. We came into Congress together. Just tell them to open it up for that. At least we'd get that funding passed.
Why do you think he hasn't done that?
Well, he's going to disagree with this, but my view is on the Epstein files. I mean, he hasn't sworn in Adelita Grijalva. He doesn't want to vote on Nancy and
That would be the vote that would release the Epstein files. When you walked in, I said, for shame. No one knows Gomer Pyle. I said, for shame, for shame, for shame, Sergeant, for shutting down the government. But then we also agreed that these health care costs and these premiums are so out of control because of Obamacare. I'm not saying we should have Medicare for all. I'm not saying single payer.
You're getting there, though.
If you make 80 grand...
You can make news here, Joe.
Where was that, 80 grand?
I think it was in Oregon.
20 grand, the premiums are going up.
That's crazy.
That's not because of the expiration of the pandemic-era subsidies. That's just because this behemoth costs too much, and it's the unaffordable CARE Act. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe health savings accounts or something. But you shouldn't be shutting the government. You should not be. You know that.
We can at least get people paid if you can get a deal with Speaker Johnson. But look, the productivity hasn't gone up in the healthcare sector, right? Like there are other places, manufacturing, technology, where we're actually bringing down costs in industry. And one of the reasons is there's a dead weight cost on these private insurance companies. They made $171 billion of profits. If we had Medicare for all, if we extended that, it would help private business. It would lower health care costs.
But if you opened up, states to have competition, there's a way to do it with the private sector and not go to what everyone else has gone to, which also doesn't really provide the care you want and
look at better results.
You still have private doctors, you still have private hospitals, private nurses. You're just saying that what people have on Medicare from 65, you extend it to folks.
But that gets to the point where you're basically rationing health care and saying we will only pay so much for certain things, and that's what we've gotten to with Medicare.
Well, I don't think Medicare is rationing more than the private industry. I mean, you are on private insurance. That's where you get rationed. You have to get your pre-authorization. You get things denied. Medicare actually doesn't do that.
Will you break with the party and say this is wrong? That you're, really holding the government hostage to getting what they want. And it wasn't just the $340 billion that they want for the subsidies. They got a bunch of other stuff that they want that raises it to $1.5 trillion. Will you say that neither party should be shutting the government to blackmail and hold the other party hostage?
I agree. It's not that both parties need to come together. Don't give me that both.
Only one is shutting it down.
No, that's not true. You know that. Come on, you guys.
Since when do you try to do an appropriations at the same time that you just have a CR to keep the government? You don't do appropriations at that point.
But you have a situation where
it's a clean
first
CR.
of all, the Republicans have the votes in the Senate and the House. They could do this on an exception. They've confirmed Trump's appointees.
Well, you just want no filibuster.
But secondly,
that's a Trojan horse for Democrats.
And this is not a political point. They're giving $31 billion or $30 to $40 billion to the guy in Argentina. $30 to $40 billion would fund the extension of the affordable tax credits for 1 year for all Americans.
You saw.
So why not?
You saw Lawler offer that to Hakeem Jeffries, to Leader Jeffries.
And you know who's not on Lawler's bill? Speaker Johnson. See if you can get Speaker Johnson to agree to lower.
So neither one of them are on it.
He can't convince.
What would it do if we decided to do it for an extra year, or to kick the can down the road? But you think you could get?
I don't even know that it would matter if you're talking about these premiums that are going up by that much.
But look, you told me, I didn't even know that $20,000 increase of premiums for
I saw it. I mean, I haven't confirmed it, but it was on. Something I saw in where was it? Vermont, 130. Someone making 130,000. It's like $32,000.
It's crazy. You know who's making most sense on your side of the aisle?
Yeah, but it's not.
That
doesn't mean it's right that we just extend it. That's just that's not putting a Band-Aid on it. That's like opening up the wound.
What are the actual fixes that would lower health care costs short of going straight to Medicaid or Medicare for all? I mean,
one is going after Medicare Advantage, right? Okay. I mean, this is actual fraud where Medicare Advantage is having people sicker than they are, and our taxpayer dollars are paying for it. Both parties
finding things that like
finding things.
Let's test for this. Oh, it turns out you didn't even know you had it, and then that's
one of the things I've supported with President Trump. I think we should have a vote on it. Is his executive order going after big pharma? Why are Americans paying 2 to 3 times more than countries? People in other parts of the world.
In developed parts of the world, too.
In developed parts of the world, in Germany, in Japan. So let's put his executive order for a vote in Congress. You take on Medicare Advantage, you take on Big Pharma, and then the facility fees. Why is it that you go for an MRI at a doctor's office, then you go to the same MRI at a hospital, and it's about 300% more?
Difference. Yeah, it's the transparency issues. You should be able to shop around for health care the same way you can shop for anything else. And that we still have not gotten to that. And by the way, those were things President Obama was talking about before the Affordable Care Act. I don't understand why we haven't gotten to better transparency issues on that.
One of the people who's making sense, I think, on your side, Joe, is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's saying, look.
Oh, my God.
She's saying, look, grocery prices.
Did you ever think you'd say those words in a sentence?
I can't believe I've seen her on Tucker.
Are you ready to endorse Mom Donnie?
I've endorsed Mom Donnie. We could get into that.
You already did. That's great, bro. I'm a capitalist. I like Silicon Valley.
I'm a pro-growth. I'm a pro-growth progressive. Pro-growth progressive.
That's an oxymoron.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she said, look, food prices are too high. Grocery prices are high, rent is high, insurance is high.
Everybody agrees with that. It's how you bring those prices down.
So here's what my push is. Look, I'm for Medicare for all. I'm not sure she is. But why can't we get bipartisan legislation to lower the costs of health care?
Because nobody can agree on how you lower the costs.
Can't even open the government.
I don't even think it's. I think it's the pharmaceutical influence, the insurance influence.
The pharmaceuticals will tell you it's the pharmacy benefits managers. The pharmacy benefits managers will tell you it's the hospitals that are now being taken over by for-profit companies. I mean, everybody points to somebody else, and the finger pointing gets really complicated. It's such a complex system. You have some of the best brains who have tried to tackle this for decades at this point and have not been able to make this happen.
Fair enough,
so
but why
how
not?
do we do this and get the government open and stop hurting people who are suffering as a result of the government being closed?
Well, 2 things. First, why don't we start with what Donald Trump has proposed? He has an executive order to lower pharma prices. Right. I introduced his exact executive order.
Pfizer just do that.
I introduced his exact executive order in Congress. We can't get a vote on it. And the pharma knows that the executive order won't have
the exact since the shutdown?
No, I introduced it before the shutdown. But let's get a vote on Trump's executive order. But you know why we don't? Because of Big Pharma's influence. And Big Pharma knows the executive order won't hold in court. The second point is, yes, we need fundamental reform on health care. But right now, to Joe's point, people's premium is going to go up $20,000, $30,000. Yeah. Why not just get some relief so that premium doesn't go up starting November 1st?
But the government can't. I mean, the government is the people. Taxpayer dollars going to fund all of these things. You got to find a way to get at the root cause.
Yeah, but we're giving money to the guy in Argentina.
Yeah, but Ro, if you hadn't shut down the government, 3 weeks ago, you could have been in appropriations meeting, negotiating, talking about how to do exactly what you want to do.
Johnson shut down the place. We haven't been to work for a month.
I can't endorse Mom Donnie. I don't even think I can.
Have you had him on?
We're trying to get him on.
Invited him.
He should come on. He should come on. I mean,
are you buddies? Go ahead.
I know him. I mean, yeah, he should come on. He's going to be mayor. You know he's going to be mayor.
No, I think Curtis Lee, what he told me this morning.
Ro, you're going to Ro. I'm in Washington today. I'm working. I know you guys aren't, but I'm glad you're there. Can you help us get? Can you get Zoran on the show? Do you talk to him? Seriously?
I do. I'm doing, you guys are welcome to come. I'm doing an event with him November 1st. Maybe Joe will come in to the rally. I'll talk to him on November 1st.
Where? Here in New York?
Here in New York.
So I want to actually...
It's a date.
Ro, I want to know from you, though, what, because we've been having this discussion about the mayor. Why are you're supporting him, it sounds like, over Cuomo, correct?
Correct.
And why is that? Just so we know.
I think, one, we need a new generation of leadership. I mean, does anyone think that we need recycled politicians from the 90s? I think we need a new generation.
Instead of AOC, and yes, I do. Instead of Mamdani and AOC, yes. I'd rather have a corpse.
Boomer.
Give me a boomer.
We need a new generation.
Give me a dead boomer.
Secondly, he's talking to, you know why he's winning is on affordability. He's saying the food prices,
but he's proposing
the rent
things that'll
prices,
make things worse.
The child care prices, and the fundamental issue.
He's a communist, basically. Trump's right.
He basically is. No, he's not. And this idea that there's going to be capital flight out of New York City, or come on.
That is going to happen.
Come on. Where are they going to go? Put their money in China? In France? Where's the growth rate there?
No, in Miami.
The fundamental
Congressman, where are they going to go? They're going to go to Miami. They're going to go to Austin, Texas. That's the question.
You know, Austin, Texas, they keep talking about Austin, Texas. My district, Silicon Valley, has 37 times the venture capital of Austin, Texas. New York has enormous amount of finance compared to Austin, Texas. The reality is the fundamental issue.
Congressman, do you genuinely... by the way, I agree with you that he's clearly a fabulous politician and clearly has, tapped into this idea of affordability. The question is, do you believe, you personally, because we know you now, and we've talked about lots of sensible things you've talked about, do you believe that the solutions that he's proposing, things like rent control, do you believe that that's actually going to lower the price of real estate and make it more affordable in New York? I think you and I would probably both agree that rent control, rather than trying to increase the supply of housing by changing regulations and permitting and all of those things, that is ultimately the right answer, correct?
He's for building more housing. So my understanding is he has a double approach. There are already apartments in New York that he, as mayor, can have a rent freeze. Blasio did that for 3 years, but he's also embraced the abundance
but we saw
agenda.
what happened. Oh, the Congressman, we saw what happened when de Blasio did that. We actually had less development in the city. This is, by the way, we run this experiment. We've seen what happens. And the reason I mention this, because I think you're one of the most reasonable people I know. When people see that there's a mayor trying to control the rent prices in the city, what happens? The developers say to themselves, well, oh, goodness, should we be investing here? Because if we do, the math is going to change. And the math changes because you say to yourself, well, they might try to control the rent of future rents, and therefore the bar that we need to clear is much higher. You agree? Just that's the math. That's the psychology of how people invest in real estate.
Sure. I think President Biden actually threaded the needle. What he said was stop Wall Street private equity for buying single-family homes, have rent caps which aren't going higher than inflation, but don't exempt new construction on it, and then a double construction of housing in this country and do the abundance agenda. And to me, you have to have some immediate relief because people's rent is too high, but you need to couple that with doubling actually housing construction. I mean, that was a reasonable proposal. He said, let's cap the rent not higher than inflation.
Congressman Khanna, thank you for joining us. If you had to guess how and when this government shutdown ends, what would you say?
We have the most relevant person, who's the Speaker of the House, coming next. So you ask him, but I think...
He already passed the bill. That's not his problem. We need Schumer on. Shut down Schumer is who we need on.
Just
that's who we need on.
Congress. Have him and me on.
Mike Johnson already passed. That bill's sitting over there. It's a clean CR.
But we should do it before November 1st. We should do it before all these premiums are going to hit. And if we can get... Look, my party line is permanent relief, which I believe we need to fight for, but at least get some relief. I mean, they haven't come with a proposal. Lawler at least came with a proposal, but he doesn't have his own party on board for that.
We need a proposal to open the government.
Congressman, thank you.
We need you in Congress, Joe. Maybe we'd negotiate.
I would turn into two different people. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't know. Sometimes I know you. Other times I'm like, it looks like, bro. Crazy.
Thank you very much.